You're listening to Wild Things and Wild Places, a Muley Fanatic Foundation podcast that aims to discuss issues and efforts related to the Muley Fanatic Foundation mission, the conservation of mule deer, furthering the sport of hunting, and sound wildlife management.
Everybody knows I'm a Muley Fanatic.
It's time for Wild Things and Wild Places. And here's your guide, Joshua Corsi.
Welcome to another episode of Wild Things in Wild Places. And joining me today, I've got the owner and CEO of First Choice Ford. You have seen now with this email and the accompanying podcast the images of the beautifully wrapped 2023 Ford F-150 that Muley Fanatics is now sporting around not only the Cowboy State, but where all of our chapter efforts are. Really excited to be able to bring Shane on. Obviously, Shane, with a sponsorship like this, it goes without saying we are extremely humbled. We're extremely grateful to have your support and your willingness to help move our mission forward. And your support is not really something that is new. And I think it's important that I note that this goes all the way back to really more than 12 years ago when we first got started, that we reached out to you and you were supportive of the cause and the effort and have been on multiple accounts. But I just want to say thank you, first and foremost. Thank you very much for what you do for us.
Hey, Josh, I appreciate you guys as well. And it is crazy that it's been 12 years. That's, when you put it into that way, it's such more of a reality of how time flies for us all. But yeah, I've enjoyed being a part of the Muley Fanatics from the beginning that I can remember. And I appreciate what you and Joey have done with that and watched it grow over the years. Has been quite amazing.
Yeah, thanks. I can remember it like yesterday. You're right. Time flies. I was thinking about how long I have had a knowledge and knowing of you and going all the way back to high school. And you think 30 plus years ago, it's like, golly, time flies. It absolutely flies by. But then I think 12 years ago when we had the deputy director of Wyoming Game and Fish at that time, John Kennedy, who has since retired, he came here and was available to be able to launch the announcement of the big PhD project that we had partnered with the University of Wyoming with the raffle of that Kuiu-clad truck that we had dolled up with your service and parts department, had there in the showroom to make that big announcement. And then I don't know, I've had a chance to go down memory lane and look at how many times you have just been there when we've needed or have asked for your support. It's always been a yes. And so I appreciate that, and we truly are humbled by that. But this sponsorship of this truck and the recent wrap that Pit Stop Sides had done on it to showcase what we're about and our alignment with you, I will make that declaration official right now. First Choice Ford, the official automobile dealership for the Muley Fanatic Foundation. Of course, Joey and I, both customers of yours as well as others, but it's really just, to me, a nod to how much of a cornerstone First Choice Ford business is to the community of Southwest Wyoming.
And I sure appreciate that. I'm excited to be the auto dealer of the Muley Fanatics. And yeah, it seems as you go through time, and I didn't really appreciate you aging us so easily there with that 30-year comment, but we definitely have gone all the way back to high school. What I enjoy most about the Muley Fanatics is the growth and the commitment you guys have to your program and to your members as well. So it's our philosophy and being clear and concise and transparent on what you guys do, which represents what we do. We want to be clear and transparent and make it easy to do business with us and not know exactly where we want to go in this world that creates a lot of chaos. So I think it's a perfect partnership in my mind, and I know at First Choice Ford and our families are extremely excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, thanks for that, Shane. One thing that separates First Choice Ford from other competitive dealers, if you will, one thing that I have known and have always known to be a truth with the model of how you operate is the approachability of you yourself as the owner of the dealership. That's not always found at other big franchise dealerships. You can get to the middleman with enough knocks on the door, but sometimes getting to the actual decision maker's desk, of course, you empower your team to be able to make decisions that are always oriented towards customer service first and having happy customers. And you are in a business where it isn't always the case. You are going to have folks that have frustrations, or they've bought a product that's mechanical. It does sometimes give, it does break, and you're there to do what you can when you can to help them. But your business is built on repeat customers and being able to continue to have that type of connection with not only one generation, but multiple generations now, where you have seen people that now they're kids, my own child included, her vehicle we purchased from you when she graduated. That's a testament to being able to do business and do it well for many years to continue. And I know you put a lot of pride in that, but let's talk about how First Choice Ford came to be, what your vision was. You grew up in an automotive family with a family history of being involved with the dealership world, but this is your baby and you've done well with it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I bought the First Choice Ford in 2008, and it wasn't my first dealership or being a part of a dealership, but it was the first one that I've owned 100% on my own and not part of a family or partnership. So it was my first opportunity to really focus on how I wanted to do business and how I envisioned doing business in Rock Springs and sticking around for as long as I could. And you're right, my approach has always been to be here for generations, not be here for a moment. So we look at it as taking care of our customers for what's best for all of us in the future. And you're right, sometimes you can't make everybody happy, and sometimes their cars break down, and sometimes the whole world changes, like in COVID, and everything reverts back, and you have to adjust quickly. I think that's what I love about Rock Springs is it's a dynamic community. And even though we go through all this stuff, we're pretty much the same community every year and have been for the 30 plus years I've lived here.
Yeah, Shane, what did COVID and the impacts of the pandemic, I imagine distribution, but just the way people and the interaction with customers really had to provide you an impetus of a blank canvas to figure out how you're going to navigate moving the business forward in these unknown waters?
Well, in the time, it seems like impossible, and when you're in the moment, but COVID ended up actually, looking back, was not a negative thing on the business, even though supply chains were decimated and stuff like that. It just created kind of a boom for demand. And that's the core business, is an extreme economic boom and bust, high demand, low supply, everything just quickly. High supply, low demand, prices adjust quickly. So it's more of an adjustment, but looking back, the bigger change has been the hangover, I would call it, from COVID, is what's going on now. During that time, I think every manufacturer was struggling with quality and recalls and stuff like that. So what we're seeing now is still a low supply of used cars. Cars are starting to get better, and we're seeing the supply go up, but pricing just adjusted so quickly, it's just hard to get everything back in line. Mostly what's been the hardest thing with COVID is now the after effects, not during the actual survival of it.
As far as your interaction with the customer, I know that there is a lot of emphasis put on the website and the digital or virtual interaction with the customer. You're pulling from customers beyond Southwest Wyoming. You're pulling customers from other states to do business. Some of that might be just the lack of inventory available, but is that changed in how your sales team and your customer service team interacts? Have you had to really think about how to move forward and being able to engage someone who's on the backside of a keyboard hundreds of miles away?
Yeah, it will, and it's not just hundreds of miles away. Now, over 90% of any interaction with a customer or future customer starts online with us. So whether they are in Montana or just in Green River, everybody starts online. So the online presence is the key. And where that comes in is to bring up the point of transparency. Is you don't get the second click, or you don't get to keep a customer or future customer engaged with anything but the front pricing and competitive pricing. So it's really being focused on that, making sure we have the right product for the right price. That gives us the best opportunity to engage with our future customers. And that's exactly right. Why we end up selling a lot of vehicles out of this market is because of that price competitiveness and having the right vehicle. And so we do see quite a bit. It's probably about 40% of our sales do go out of this market now, which used to be 5% or 2%. So that's probably a huge adjustment that the internet's really played a factor in.
Yeah, that is significant. That is enormous. You've adjusted well to that. Let me ask, Shane, specific to being able to have that interaction with your customers online, not just trying to be, we're the lowest price point out there, but what else we bring to the table and how we stand behind our product. And then I guess, if you don't mind, touching base on Ford Motor Company and where they've positioned themselves, not taking the buyout. Of course, recent news about maybe moving away from the EV models, where you're associated with a brand that's making decisions that you are then having to adhere to after the fact. But where are you at with where you think Ford Motor Company as a business and a product, where they are in the marketplace?
That's a great question. And I just recently got back from the Ford meeting, and I'll give you a brief history. About 2 years ago, I was at the same Ford meeting, and they announced about 3 years ago now, their electric plan. And at the time, it had zero sense to me. It was you get to choose to be an electric dealer or you're not going to be a future dealer. So it was really an ultimatum. And that really put a lot of pressure on, especially small dealers such as us in small markets that aren't going to adapt to EVs at the same rate as metro markets and places like that. So it really seemed very inconsiderate of that. And they really were pushing away from this middle America, not really focused on what really counts in the long term of taking care of your customers and histories of customers. And so it really put a damper on me for a while on my perception of Ford. Since then, it's changed dramatically because the adoption in the rest of the world just really woke them up. Their goal was never to get away from the internal combustible engines. It's just they had to join the EV kind of forced upon them. Over the last few years, they've adjusted quickly, but it really comes down to there's just a factor of there's laws on the books that make it impossible for them not to build EV. We're still going to have to sell EVs. It's just going to change dramatically on what and how quickly they force everybody to do it. So they dropped the program. We're all just Ford dealers now, and we all got to just help sell some EVs and so they can keep making combustible engines. And that's really not hit this cafe laws. It's really about if they don't produce enough, they can't keep building. So there's some strange laws on the books that they can't really break, and even within, no matter what happens this election, it still doesn't go away anytime soon. So they have to plan for the long term. What that's led is Ford's now come back with their main plan is to really focus on enthusiasts, the folks that really love their vehicles, the ones that are fanatic about their Fords, if it's the new Bronco or coming back to the Mustangs, and they're really going to focus on making sure that they build the units and the models that people actually want with the outfits. And so really they're going to be more focused on making everything more powerful, more functional, and more performance oriented. If Ford can stick to that plan, I think especially markets like Wyoming and Rock Springs and Sweetwater County, we're going to see a really awesome product line come out over the next few years that really benefits us all, especially for off-roading, hunting, and all of them towing and all the things that we do in this county.
Yeah, I was going to get to there, and this is a great segue. I'm glad you brought that up. Your parts department and your ability to customize a stock vehicle, if you will, or a stock truck, to be able to add things to that. That is certainly a large part of owning a vehicle. A large part of your business, I would imagine, is your parts and service and the ability to do that, to be able to add those things that people need to be able to get that vehicle off the pavement and still perform and function at the high level that they expect. What is the most challenging aspect of that aspect of the business?
The parts is pretty simple. The most challenging issue with parts is parts availability, and having the stock it's just, you got so many years, it's impossible to have all the parts in stock, and the pricing of that is gone up so much that you're really just trying to stay as on demand as quickly as possible, meaning it's hard to have everything in stock, but you can have it within 24 hours. So it's mostly just keeping up with the need and keeping inventory as fluid as possible. But really what we run into is availability for parts. And what we've seen over the last few years with the COVID and the hangover from that is a lot of back-ordered parts. And that's where things get really frustrating, because if a car's not running and you can't get a part for 2 to 3 weeks to 6 weeks, that's extremely inconvenient and not pleasant for anybody. So parts is really, other than that, if it's common stuff and it's easy, it's never more than 24 hours away. But some of these things, especially some of these years that were a few years older, they're very difficult to still source and get in any time frame. With service is always the same. It's from probably when you were in the car business. Nobody's ever happy to go to the service department because something's easily broken or they're just paying to maintain it. And nobody ever goes there, and it's not something costing time or money. So it's really just putting a crew of people at the front desk of quality service, the people that have empathy and care, and they have a smile on their face when you come in and want to help you. And I think for us, we have the best team we've ever had in our service drive with our 3 gals, and I can't be more proud of them than anybody. And as many years as I've been in the business, this is by far the best crew I've ever had in my service term from management down that really genuinely want to take care of our customers and are effective and efficient at it. And at a percentage and as far as rankings and stuff like that, it's as high as we've ever had it. Now, I understand that when we've had a bad experience, that doesn't feel like there's anything good there, but trust me, we've improved dramatically all across the board there.
Yeah, it's good to hear. Shane, you're a very hands-on owner. You're very approachable. You're not hidden in a room with a closed door. Customers that want to be able to interact with you, you certainly enjoy that aspect of the business. You're not always you're not called upon just to come in and undercut and lower a price and make that customer happy. You're there to you're running a business. And at the end of the day, there is overhead that your business has to be able to be a leader in the business. What part or what aspect of what you do as the owner, CEO of First Choice Ford, what do you relish in that you find to be most rewarding?
It's pretty simple. For me, it's my employees. It's being able to provide incomes for families and be their main source of income for they can provide for their families, and watching these certified technicians that invested a tremendous amount of money into their tools and their time, and watch them grow and get better and be able to start families and take care of their families. That's something like that is always just very important to me. And it's very much a reason why I enjoy the business and watching people start. I have a gal that started with me as a receptionist, and she's now my internet manager. That's a huge growth. And the difference between entry-level position to a position of management, that she is the highest provider for her family and takes care of her children. And it's just amazing to watch that over times. And when you have 30 plus years in the business, you get to see that time again. So for me, it really comes down to my people. And if my people are happy, they're going to take care of my customers, and my customers are going to be happy. If I focus on anything, is to make sure I give an environment that they want to come to work in and they want to be there. That's really my focus and my goal when I'm around. And then when I do have the opportunity to engage with customers, it's enjoyable, and I like to tell my story. If they have questions, I love to answer the questions and dig into any issues we have to dig into that makes sense for all of us.
Where do you see First Choice Ford 5 years from now? I know you're a guy that is always looking to raise the bar. I know that you have a very high standard. You're very organized. I think that's always been a quality that has certainly been something that you could equate to how you can watch the progression of your success. It starts with who you are and the character you have to be able to move that forward and to allow your team and everyone else to have the buy-in to follow that leadership that you provide. Where do you see First Choice Ford 5 years from now?
To answer that question, it's mostly where do I see Rock Springs and Sweetwater County, Green River. And I see a great future, and I see a lot of growth coming our way. And it's more on the base growth that's always kept us significant the way we are, which is in the truck industry, and mostly in that side where what we're going to be here for a long time, not a boom and bust, but a solid, really base economy with mining and some construction. And what's so neat about that is that's what we've, and anybody who's been in business, including how you started it, grew the Muley Fanatics, is based on that core business of good quality jobs with good quality people that really love Wyoming. And I think for us, we'll see some growth, and in Ford, we'll obviously get to take some advantage of that if we do a good job. But mostly I'm excited about being in Sweetwater County with everything that goes on. We stay pretty isolated, and I've always appreciated that about us. And our base economy is great, and we don't get affected as much as everybody else. And I think that's a little pocket we need to be very proud of. With Ford, I'm just going to continue to focus on taking care of this customer base and this wonderful community that provides all of us with our livings. Really focus on what comes next with Ford and adjust. But if I can do anything, it's just be proud that I'm part of this community.
Yeah, you're certainly a key stakeholder to the community and the business community of Southwest Wyoming. Shane, I am curious on what your take would be for somebody who has never owned a Ford, particularly a truck, since we're talking about a truck and your sponsorship with us. After driving for the last 9 years, a 3/4-ton long bed work-type truck of a Chevy, which has certainly provided and met the need, the Ford truck is, if you haven't been in a Ford truck, it's worth taking a look at. What would you tell somebody who has been just so brand loyal to either Chevy or Dodge, Toyota with their full-size truck? What is the pitch that is given to be able to give someone to at least just give consideration to the Ford product?
it really where Ford's been the number one selling truck for long before I was a Ford dealer. And then I was very much the same with you or anybody else. I was brand loyal based off of being raised in a GM family. But when I took over Ford in '08, it was about the bailout years when GM and Chrysler took their bailouts and Ford didn't. And what was amazing about that was that they jumped ahead by 4 or 5 years in technology. And that's the engine technology, the EcoBoost, and mostly the electronics. And if you look at really you want to compare it, it comes down to Ford will always put the top and their best technology in their trucks first. They make sure that their trucks have every latest and greatest thing that could possibly be out there. What I always now appreciate about it is it's like you got the luxury or you got the work truck. And Ford just doesn't dominate in luxury and just top sales. They also dominate in the work environment, and their fleet is now growing at a higher rate than in any other manufacturer. And it's not because they're the cheapest. It's because they've been proven to create, and the longevity has just been there. So these big corporations and these big fleet companies have really migrated. When they did migrate away from Ford, they migrated back pretty quickly over a turn because of the cost to maintain the other vehicles. So I would look at it as if you haven't driven one, you're going to drive it. These new technologies where that Blue Cruise, where it's literally an autopilot that's the equivalent to Tesla's autopilot, that's pretty impressive. These vehicles do literally drive themselves. And you have the same technology that has made Tesla as exciting as it is now in F-150s. So it's pretty impressive, but their towing capacity second to none, their horsepower, you just don't have anything way above. And that's not to diss on the other brands because they're fantastic, but Ford is just a little bit better. And if you can get away through the nameplates and just drive it open-minded, you'd probably feel the same.
Shane, I appreciate you for what you represent and the product you stand behind and your willingness to ensure that you stand behind that with not only yourself, but everybody on the team. Your sponsorship of providing the Muley Fanatic Foundation a truck to drive around. We put a lot of miles on our trucks. In the fall, we do these youth terminal illness hunts, and we have a lot of people that are in and out of these trucks. I can't even begin I lack the vocabulary to express our thanks just for your willingness to want to align with such a sponsorship like this. It's very commendable, but truly it's something that's very humbling for me. And I want you to know firsthand that on behalf of not only myself, but all of us at the MFF team, our chapters, our members, our supporters, not only just in Wyoming, but abroad. We just appreciate you aligning, knowing that our mission resonated with you to be able to want to help us move that forward. And man, I wish I had another adjective, but all I can come up with is my most heartfelt and genuine, sincere thanks. And thank you for that.
And I really feel that, Josh. I know you're very grateful, man, to your community, and the future of our children is very respectable, and that's why I've always been good to support and be a part of it. It's you and Joey's leadership more so than anything, and knowing that you've developed this community of people with the same mindset and huge following that's grown way beyond anything anybody could imagine. I'm sure even you guys, your own self, to be a part of something that is that good and that respectable it's sure appreciated by me for sure.
Well, thank you for that. What's the best way for folks to be, besides going to the 1264 Dewar Drive location? Get online. Is that the best first touch of First Choice Ford?
Yeah, I believe so, because honestly, right now online, it's an online business. So firstchoiceford.com. And you're going to see the cars. The cars are going to be well pictured. We have the 360 walkarounds. We have the videos. We have an online tool where you can work your payments. You can figure everything out. As a matter of fact, we're only about a month away before you can even just buy the car online and never even have to talk to a person. It's getting that kind of crazy technology and stuff like that. But we have full transparency. You can see the pricing. You can work your trade in. You don't even have to talk to anybody and get a good idea of exactly what your car deal is going to look like. And what you see online is what you're going to get at the dealership. And that's another important factor, is nothing's going to change. And the only thing that does change probably is that it gets a little better when you get there.
And you do also buy used inventory? That's
absolutely.
That's something that's become with a supply chain. That's something that you really would prefer to have locally owned vehicles?
Oh, for sure. If anybody is looking to sell or to just needs to get rid of an extra payment or something like that, we would be very interested in buying the vehicles. And we do have to buy. I don't really, when the new car supply is increasing, we can get the trade-ins we need and to keep this process going. But before that, we do have to buy. But we spend most of our time sourcing off the street, not going to auctions and buying rental cars and stuff like that. We really try to buy the vehicles that people really need and really want in this market that fits this harsh 4 seasons that we have in Sweetwater County.
Give First Choice Ford a look. If you have not given them an opportunity to earn your business, I think you'd be suitably impressed with the process and the people that are invested into this, that are making their lives in Southwest Wyoming as a part of this community. FirstChoiceFord.com, as Shane said, that's the first place to start. And then, of course, you can go and visit them in person. You can visit with Shane directly, 1264 Dewar Drive in Rock Springs. You can also give them a call, 307-374-4164, open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 7, closed on Sundays. But First Choice Ford, a true stakeholder to the community of Southwest Wyoming, not just in the business community, but just in the overall community of those that touches lives of all of us, from school children to adults and everything in between. Yeah, Shane, thanks for making this time and visiting a little bit about First Choice Ford. And again, thank you for your sponsorship of this truck. We're gonna showcase this proudly. We're excited to be able to let others know about this sponsorship and what that means, because it is very unique and it's not something we take for granted. But really, I wish you all the success and just a bounty of blessings for you and your business and your family and your team and the families of those that are wearing the First Choice Ford brand.
I appreciate that. I really do. And we at First Choice Ford are very excited to be a partnership with Muley Fanatics. We and do plan on having special benefits and programs just for your members that really benefit and showcase the true appreciation we have for being a part of that organization. Thank you, Josh.
Thanks, Shane. Jane, happy trails.
And that wraps up another episode of Wild Things and Wild Places. But remember, the journey doesn't end here. Make sure you never miss out by subscribing. Whether you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, streaming us on our website, or following us on social media, subscribing is the best way to stay connected. Thank you for joining us, and stay tuned for more wild episodes.
Everybody knows I'm a Muley fanatic.